the two teams and the styles. Obviously, Barcelona, we know, they're a possession-based team, and we've spoken how they can change that style in terms of still possessing it, but ways in which they go about it. We know Lyon are the more aggressive team, as you said there, can remain quite compact, like to play in those transition moments. Do you see the game playing out like that? Barca dominating possession, Lyon trying to soak up pressure, play on those counter-attack with the pace they have, in those attacking positions. Do you see the game going like that?
Yeah, I do. Like, I don't know how Lyon are going to set up, but if they set up how they've been setting up, against like a PSG, for example, they like to sit back. They'll sit back in the defenders will sit back and they'll be happy there. They won't come out. They'll sit quite deep. So, the likes of Renard, Gilles, I think will probably play. They will sit there and they were happy to have their three midfielders do that work in front of them. And then for Jamorne to be that lone player up there trying to put a little bit of pressure on. And they will sit there, they will soak up the pressure and they will try and counter. They tried to keep PSG out centrally, which I think they will do to Barca as well. Barca like to play centrally, and it's what Chelsea did in the first leg of that semi-finals. And I think they'll do that again. The only thing is, Barca are so good in wide areas also. So.
I know, I was going to say, so I would imagine that they will try and Lyon defend centrally, obviously force them into wide areas. So how do you see the matchup then?
So the matchups in this game,
so for me, Carpenter, well, obviously going Bacha and Carpenter up against Hansen. Will it be, who do you think they'll play on the left? Do you think Parallel will play out there just for a pace? Or do you think
well, this is what I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think Parallel will play.
So you say it a lot better than I do. And you didn't want to help me.
I'm probably saying it wrong as well. I think Parallel will play. The whole thing for me, the most interesting thing for me is who Jonathan Heraldes is going to pick, because he has a big decision to make, decisions to make. Rolfo is a Champions League player. She's very, very physical. So I imagine she's going to play. So it is between her and Parallel. But Parallelo's been playing, and she's been playing very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Parallel might play. I think she might play 9, and I think Rolfo will play, and Ona Batier playing behind her in the left back position. So actually, it's going to be a matchup between Basha, left back,
and Hansen. But we know that like Basha likes to get forward. So how important is it, especially her, more so than Carpenter on the other side at right back? Bacha's the more attack-minded fullback out of the two. How important is it she has that defensive discipline as well in the early stages of the game?
I think she's going to be pinned back. I don't think she's going to get forward as much. And I think they'll be happy for her to sit back there, because Caroline Graham-Hansen will stay high, unlike the first leg in Chelsea. Graham-Hansen will stay high and she'll occupy those spaces. So
So Emma, how do you assess then? So if we're going to go down Barcelona's right-hand side, you've got Lucy Bronze and Hansen, right? And then obviously you've got Bacha and Cascarino. How do you assess? How do you see Cascarino playing then? Do you see her trying to half cheat to try and keep Lucy Bronze back?
I think this is going to be a problem for Lyon, and I think this is where Barca are going to get the joy. I think Cascarino will have problems because she doesn't like to drop and defend. Yeah. She does like to cheat, and she's not going to be able to with Lucy Bronze. No way. She's not going to be able to. And Caroline Graham-Hansen down that side, they're going to be playing deep, and they're going to try and soak it up, and they're going to try and counter. But it's the same on the other side. So how are Lyon going to stop them? They're going to sit deep. They're going to keep their defenders in place, and they're not going to get forward as much. And they're just going to depend on Jamorne to get the ball and then to counter.
So you think they're going to give them that much respect and go, actually, we think in terms of possession, Barcelona are the better team. We're going to soak up pressure and play on those transitions. Or you don't think that Lyon would be more front-footed and try and pin back Barcelona?
Well, this is what they did. This is what they did 2 years ago. They went for it, Lyon, and they put loads of pressure on them. I don't think they'll do it this year, because Barca have grown so much in the last couple of years in terms of breaking presses, keeping the ball, and absolutely annihilating teams on the counter also. I think Lyon are going to be a little bit more respectful, personally. And I think they're going to sit back and soak it up. And I think they're going to try and hit them on the counter with Jamorne.
See, I have the opposite opinion to it. I think, certainly with the quality that Lyon possess within their team and in those attacking areas, why wouldn't they play to their strengths, being front-footed, being aggressive in that final third, and actually pressing Barcelona, making it really uncomfortable for them? Because we saw at times when Chelsea did that in the semi-final first leg, they wasn't comfortable with it. So they know that they did in the last final against Barcelona, when they was aggressive and front-footed, Barca really struggled.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they adopt the same style with a
I
better group of players in doing that?
love that. I would love to see them going for it. That would make such a good final to watch. But I just think they'd be very, very worried. Just looking at Barca in the last few games, looking at Barca against Chelsea in the second leg as well. Like, they're just so good at keeping the ball. They've got the pace now with Pariuelo and Rolfo. Lyon will be very worried about that. The back line in Lyon will want to sit deep, and they can't put pressure on if they're going to sit deep in the back line.
Yeah.
And I think they will be worried about that space in behind. So I don't think they're going to go for it straight away, personally. I hope they do. I really do, because that's what we want to see. But I think they're going to be a little bit more careful.
But we know that Barca don't like to be direct. So for Lyon, I guess if they're coming up against other opposition, Benfica, for example, the teams that want to go a little bit more direct, they're going to be a bit reserved in terms of where their press starts from. But against a Barcelona team that we know possess the ball in deep areas and progress up the pitch, why would they be scared of the threat beyond when they very rarely use it?
Because I think they have been using it a bit better. And I think with Ona Battier, the way she's been playing, getting forward, deep runs in behind, like, she's been so successful there. The cup final, she was just unbelievable in exploiting the space behind the back line. And I think if they can get the ball to Graham Hansen, Lyon will be so worried about that 1v1 with Basha. I think Graham Hansen's going to have so much fun out there if they can get the ball to her. The problem for me, they don't get the ball enough to her. But not only that, we're talking about the wide players.
I know. I was gonna ask about this matchup in the middle. You talk about Bonmati, for me, has been the star player for Barcelona. So
yeah,
if you look at the Lyon midfield, who do you think deals with her? Because I think somebody like a Van der Donk, you could either go a Van der Donk who will just rat around her all day and just get under her skin a little bit and play that game, or do you go Haran or somebody like that who can be a little bit more physical and aggressive around her? Who do you think she matches up against in that midfield area to stop her playing?
So I agree. I think Van der Donk would be a good option in there. I think she's probably the only one that can kind of keep up with her. But also, I don't think she's going to be able to match her. So, like, the Donk will lose her head at some stage in that game. Like, she won't be able to keep her discipline for the whole 90 minutes. And Aitana's game has got so much better in that, as in waiting for the moments to exploit that area, to exploit her opponent, because we've seen it again in previous games where she's being quiet and we're like, oh, she's being a little bit quiet, and then she just pops up and does something crazy. I don't think Damaris, for example, has been playing for Lyon. She's very good technically, but for me, not physical enough in there. So when it comes to the midfield, I think Barca are far superior than Lyon, being quite honest. So this is why I think Lyon will try to keep...
Just on that, with the ball they are, right? But when we're talking about that physical presence, obviously Lyon for me would dominate that. And if they was to use that to their advantage, would that be more hurtful to this Barca team than to trying to go like for like?
I mean, I just think Barca are going to have the ball. I think they're going to have the ball more than Lyon. So we talk about possession. It will be about Barca in possession, and it will be about Lyon in defence, I think. Physically, set pieces and stuff like that, I think Barca are going to have problems with. Barca do tend to leak goals, from crossing, from set pieces. So this is where I think Lyon are going to find a lot of success. But in terms of possession and who's going to be in control, I think it's going to be Barca.
So if we're gonna give a prediction, if we were gonna say, okay, my money's on Barca or Lyon, who you sound very heavily like your money's on Barcelona. Am I right in thinking?
I think it can go either way, but I'll be putting my money on Barca.
And for what reason? Just because that you think they've improved since the final they had a few years back in 2019?
I think that, it was a lot to do with physicality in 2019.
Well, they're 2022. Sorry, the more recent one. Sorry,
100%.
2019 was,
2019 was about physicality. They were schooled. Like, that was a complete write-off of a game.
Yeah.
In 2022, I think it was all about how Lyon started. So there's your point. If they start like aggressive, can Barca change how they play and weather the storm? They've got way better at that as well.
Yeah.
So I just think they are a much more experienced, mature team than 2022. Plus, they have revenge on their side. Which is
they have that revenge. But I think Lyon have the psychology over them in terms of they know they've been there before, they've done it. They have that where they've never been beaten. And when you go into a game with that kind of that stress that we've never beaten them, which Barca are going into this game with, by the way, we know how dominant over the years Lyon have been in the Champions League. We're speaking about a team that 8-time Champions League final. It's a bit like the men, Real Madrid. They just have a know-how in European football to win matches. And I just feel Lyon are that team in the women's game and have dominated for that many years that they have that know-how. They have, we know when you think about the national teams and how different the French national team are. Most of those players are within that. I just feel like that physical presence, I think if they adopt the right game plan, Lyon, I think they will hurt Barcelona and win that game. I really do. I know everybody's talking about Barca, but for me, Barca overpossess the ball at times, and I think that in those transitions with the front three that Lyon have, I think they can really hurt this Barca team, because you talk about both fullbacks wanting to get high, leaving two centre halves. Is it Engen at the back for Barcelona? Not your normal centre half. She's normally a centre mid by trade. I think they could be punished in those areas.
Absolutely. Barca have shown where they're weak. Also, speaking about Engen, I think she's improved a lot. Like, I would have said, like, that was their weak point that they should be careful of, or that other teams should try and exploit. But I do think she's got a lot better. And you're right. Battier, Bronze will get forward. Battier more than Bronze. So they also need to be very careful of that. It's the same problems they've always had. They're very good on the ball, and they can be exploited at the back. They're weak in defending crosses. So it's definitely somewhere where Lyon will try to exploit, but it's all about Barca's possession and not giving it away, the turnover. Again, somewhere I think they've got a lot better at.
Yeah. So are you saying this game's going to be won within the 90? Do you see it going to extra time? Do you think the teams are that competitive that it could potentially go to extra time?
It could easily go to extra time, because actually Lyon are very, very good at defending their spaces. And I've said it all this season, I'm still yet to see Barca play their best football. They were excellent in the Copa de la Reina, I have to say. They were very, very good. So they're going into this game having scored, I think it was like 8 goals. I think they scored 8 goals. And the way they played was just absolute mustard. So they're going in with confidence. I can see it going to extra time. But I do think Barca are going to come out on top this time.